Susie here, and we're going to do a nice settling practice. It's 7 o'clock here, and the kids are upstairs in the bath with Stu, and so this is a little breathing practice just to have you wind down, have me wind down after a Sunday here. Really simple. It's going to be a shorty, and you can really use this at any time of the day. You can use it when you're lying down, you can use it when you're standing, you can use it as a break from when you're doing your work at the computer. First breathing exercise we're going to do is called soft gaze. So what you're going to start off with is take your hand to the base of your breastbone. So your ribs are here, and the base of your breastbone is here. So you're going to take the palm of your hand and just place it in the solar plexus. And notice yourself breathing. And establish just what your breathing is now. And so now, for me, it's the end of the day. For some of you, it might be another time of the day, but just notice how your day has been with you and how you have been with your day. And how you've just been with stuff. And so feel your breath. Is it full? Is it thin? Is it staggery or ratchety? Can you feel it up in here and feel it down in here? Let's just notice the quality. Do your best not to change it. Just notice the reality of what your breath is right now. Okay, now what I'd like you to play with is take a look somewhere down in front of you, say about 3 to 4 feet in front of you, and gaze at a point that doesn't move. And I want you just to focus entirely on that point, at the exclusion of everything else. And then let that go. And now look at that same point, but now see it more inclusive, the environment around it. So be a bit more inclusive. You're still focused on that point, but be a bit more inclusive. Okay, so you've got the idea now. Now come to your hand and notice your breathing and the quality of your breath and just what you feel underneath your hand. And take a look at that point now, being all exclusive, and look solely at that point. And you might notice your eyes starting to harden. You might notice the orifices of your body, like your anal sphincter, starting to tighten up. Maybe your breath. You might even notice your breath starting to get rigid. And then allow the gaze to become more inclusive. And you might notice that there's a softening in your eyes. And that your breath feels a bit different. Okay, now let's just oscillate for yourself between being exclusive on that point you're focusing on and then being inclusive of the point that you're focusing on. And just notice for your own self. I gave some examples of what you might feel, but notice for your own self the qualities that you feel when you do either or. And so what's really cool about the exercise is that you're still focused on something ahead of you that's forward of you, but the way you're focused on it is slightly different. And so then what's going on in your body has an experience of being slightly different as well. Okay, so now feel into the breathing, letting the hand go. And now notice what your breath feels like. And then take the heels of your hands, and you're going to find a point right on your jaw. So open and close your jaw, And you're going to take the heels of your hands and take them onto your jaw, okay, like this. And you're going to gently pull your heels of your hands down towards your chin. Okay? So you're going to take them to the jaw and then pull down towards your chin. Okay, and then again. Lovely. Okay, and then let the hands rest and just feel yourself breathing. Okay, now what I'd like you to do is typically when we think about breathing, we think about the inhale comes in first and then the exhale goes out, right? I want you to play around with the exhale goes out first and then the inhale comes in. Okay, so let's first play around with just how we know breath to typically be, right? Because our first breath in life is the inhale and the last breath out is like the exhale, right? So we enter into the planet with a breathing in and we leave the planet with a breath out. But, so I want you to experience just that cycle, in and then out, in and then out. I want you to do that about 5 times. And then I just want you to play around with this and I want you to think about actually the first phase of breath is the exhale, and then the inhale comes in, and then the exhale, and then the inhale comes in, right? So just play around with that. So play around with the cycle being inhale, exhale, which is what we typically think to be. And after a few repetitions, then think exhale first, then inhale. Okay, give that a whirl. Give that a whirl. Just notice what it is that you experience. What I love about this exercise, when you think exhale first and then inhale, is it's as if you're emptying your lungs first to allow for the inhale to come in. And so often people think that to get a bigger inhale in, you've got to inhale more deeply, when in fact, a way to get more inhale in is to exhale fully. So the more full, without strain, that exhale can be, the more inhale comes in. So exhaling out, then allowing the inhale just to come in because it's now spacious and empty. Okay, one more cycle of that. And then let your normal breath return, whatever that might be for you. And as you let the normal breath return, just check in with what it feels like. And is there a different quality to the breathing that you're now feeling? And something I want you to think about, which I'll talk about in another video clip I'll do next week, is before breath was breath, it was air sitting in front of your face. And then there were some pressure changes in a vacuum, and in comes the air, and then at some point, it becomes breath. So the ability for that breath to come in part, has to do with the suppleness of your body, right? Because if your body can't expand to enable that breath to come in, then you're only going to get so much breath in. Just the same as if you are having trouble exhaling, it's going to be hard to get that breath out. So the way the breath comes in and out has as much to do with the suppleness of our body as it is to do with the mechanism of breathing, right? So it becomes really kind of curious when we play around with these breathing practices. All right, so now what I'd like you to play with is just to notice your pelvic floor. And you might have 2 orifices or 3 orifices. And I want you to imagine that those orifices that are at the base of the pelvic floor, they enable the movement of fluid and matter. So we need them to be open, but we also need, like, the floor is also the base of our torso. So that needs to be strong, right? So there's a suppleness that needs to happen there. So I want you just to feel what you're noticing as you inhale and you exhale. Now there can be a lot of tension. These days there can be a lot of tension being held, a lot of anxiety, so wouldn't be surprising if your pelvic floor was being held. So I don't want you to necessarily try and release it per se. I would like you just to notice what it's actually doing. So as you inhale, the intent, really, what we would love to have happen is with the diaphragm at the top of the canister, the pelvic floor at the bottom, then there's this drop and lift, right? But that might not be happening in your body. That's okay. We don't need to make it happen. I just want you to notice what exists right now. So as you inhale and exhale, just notice between here and here. What's going on the pelvic floor and what's going on at the base of your rib cage. Just feel that. And if it helps, see if you can feel where those orifices are. And this is something that I like to call orifice breathing. Now, what's very powerful about orifice breathing is that people can get very grounded. So I initially learned this from a fellow who taught me some martial arts. And it was more about self-defense, really. And what he had us do is had us breathe into our pelvic floor and breathe in through the orifices. And when we did, and then he came around and tried to lift us, he couldn't lift us, right? And so, and then we went around, and it was really cool. So when I taught this to other people, people found that their baseball game got better. They ran faster and more effortless. I taught it to a corrections officer down in a Texas prison for women. And before, there were the inmates would sort of attack her, and then when she learned this, they stopped doing that. So there was just this general aura that is different when you can connect into this area. So when you're out and about in your house, or you're going for a walk around the block, then just notice yourself connecting into that pelvic floor. And the thing is you don't have to do this perfectly. You don't have to get all the orifices or the two orifices working. It's just to notice your pelvic bowl with your breath. Okay, so let's play around with it. So it's going to be inhale, and just imagine breathing through the orifices of your pelvic floor. And then exhale. Now you don't have to just contract your pelvic floor. I'd actually rather you not willfully contract your pelvic floor. I just want you to notice the responsiveness of your pelvic floor to each phase of your breath. And it can be really, really cool, because sometimes as you're exhaling, you might feel on the inside this collapsing mechanism. That's okay, just notice it. There's nothing to do right now with it. Just notice that's what you're doing. Just feel it. All right, 2 more cycles of this. And then, when you finish those 2 cycles on the exhale, then just breathe naturally and normally, whatever that is. And now notice the quality of your breathing, and notice the overall sensation in your body. So you've just done some stimuli. Some of you who've been with me for this whole practice, you've done a series of breathing exercises. Those of you who've kind of entered in through this practice, you've done maybe 1 or 2 or just a couple of breaths with me. Now just notice that sense of breathing. And I smile because my kids are upstairs singing Let It Go. How apropos. I love it. All right, so again, Those breathing exercises can be done sitting, standing, laying down, going to bed, if you wake up in the middle of the night, if you are in the middle of working and you need to take a breather, just little things that you can do to kind of rejig, refuel, reset, reintegrate, just reconnect to yourself and get some clarity, remembering that we can get way caught up in our head. If we come into our breathing, we can come a little bit further down into our body and just kind of get back into the game, connected to ourselves, which is so very important for where we are at right now. Alrighty? So from that point there, bring your hands together, bring up to your heart, and breathe in with ease and out with gratitude. Namaste. See you next time. Mwah.